All right, Billy Joe Saunders was on Talksport today. I'll do probably a separate video on this, probably upload it later on this evening, but he's been talking about several things, a fight potentially with Chris Eubank Jr., but he touched on Tyson Fury on Oleksandr Usyk, and he said here, and I quote, Tyson Fury can beat Oleksandr Usyk 3 times in one night in their rematch. I don't think there's a heavyweight out there that can outbox Usyk. Just picking for picking, but Tyson can beat Usyk 3 times in one night with one simple game plan. It's very simple how to beat him. You have to use your size. You have to use your physical advantages. Every attribute you have, you need to use to full effect with this man. I believe Tyson will win the next fight, and I believe that he will win by knockout as well. So that's what Billy Joe Saunders says. Well, in terms of Tyson not being able to outbox Usyk, he was having success, obviously, in those round 4, 5, and 6. He had success in those rounds. He was able to counter Oleksandr Usyk. He was able to pick his shots well. He was keeping it at range. The problem was for Tyson Fury, in spite of what people like Simon Jordan would say, was not the stamina. It's the fact, and this is something Billy Joe was not really mentioning, it's the fact that Oleksandr Usyk was able to adjust. He was able to adjust. He was getting hit with less uppercuts. He was getting hit with less body shots. He was able to make adjustments, and Tyson Fury wasn't. In terms of him not being able to outbox Usyk, it's going to be very difficult to outbox Oleksandr Usyk because he's going to walk you down. He's going to make you work at a pace, and he's going to try and dictate the fight. You know, outboxing Oleksandr Usyk at long range. Joshua's tried it. Dubois tried it. Fury's tried it. It's not working. It's not a strategy that's going to give you an awful lot of success. What he's saying here about using his size to beat him, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one by Billy Joe Saunders there. Now, obviously, I will point out, Billy Joe Saunders, I don't know if he still is, but it's certainly a couple of years ago, he was very close with he was a member of Team Fury. You know, he was always, I think he was walking out to the ringside with Tyson Fury for his fights. Tyson Fury was at, well, his last fight, which was the Canelo Alvarez fight, which is where some people have said is where there kind of became a little bit of a rift, because you certainly don't see Billy Joe speak ill of Tyson Fury. I mean, look at him here. But you certainly don't see him with the same, you don't see him basically in the team as much as you used to. You don't really see him at all. He only really mentions Tyson when something like this comes up. So you would wonder, is there a rift there? If there is it, how deep does it go? I would imagine not very deep if there even is one. He would obviously pick Tyson Fury to win, and he's saying that he beat Usyk 3 times in the one night. I don't know if it's, I don't think anybody, even on their best day, could beat Usyk 3 times in the one night. What he is saying, though, is using his size to beat him. You have the physical advantage. You have to use your physical advantage. Every attribute you have, you need to use to full effect with this man. I agree. I do agree. I felt that's where Joshua missed the boat in both fights. I think that's where Dubois did, in particular Anthony Joshua, because when he did look to kind of pressure Oleksandr Usyk, and you have to understand that when he was pressuring Oleksandr Usyk for the little moments, but certainly in the rematch, they were only in spurts. If you were consistently doing that, you leave yourself way more open to getting countered by Oleksandr Usyk. Yes, you're making him fight at a pace that maybe he's not comfy with, but Oleksandr Usyk has shown the ability to be able to adjust on the fly in a fight. He's done that several times throughout his career. He's very good at it. So that's where it becomes quite difficult and quite a big risk. Listen, if it was such as simple as you just use your size and use all that to win, well then Joshua would have done it, Dubois would have done it, Fury would have done it first time. Fury would have realised that in the first fight. I think the reason why that these aren't able to do it is they're afraid of what's coming back. They're also, someone like Anthony Joshua, you got to think, they're probably thinking stamina. You know, how is my stamina going to be if I'm trying to, ragdoll this guy? If I'm using excess energy to try and ragdoll this guy, he's still there after 5 rounds and I'm, I've blown a gasket. You got to take that into consideration. A lot of people look at Derek Chisora and see what he did with Oleksandr Usyk early on in the fight, and they think, oh, I don't see, I remember when Chisora fought Oleksandr Usyk. And obviously Usyk's next fight was against Joshua. People were like, well, look what Chisora did. How is he going to beat Joshua? You're like, mate, how in God's name is Anthony Joshua going to fight like Chisora? Chisora was swinging to the fences. He shorted Oleksandr Usyk. He just fought like a bull in the china shop. And that did trouble Oleksandr Usyk early on, definitely. But what happened? He adjusted. He adjusted. He was able to sting Chisora a few times, like in round number 7, and he was able to come through it. And Chisora is short than Oleksandr Usyk. He's a very short, compact fighter. He's only about 6'1". He was able to get under Oleksandr Usyk's shots. Tyson Fury is 6'9". Let's just say he's 6'9". Fury is not going to be able to do that, and Chisora couldn't maintain that pace either. Now, Chisora later on in his career, and you would say even in 2020, you'd probably seen better days. Chisora couldn't really maintain that pace. Fury, I don't think will be able to maintain. Certainly not. I mean, Fury is someone where you can't fight in the front foot, but he does that out of necessity, I think. And even then, he kind of puts in a little bit of back foot offense as well on there. I can't see Tyson Fury putting on Oleksandr Usyk the way Billy Joe was talking about. I certainly can't see it ending in a knockout. I mean, there was nothing in that first fight that led me to believe that we could see a Tyson Fury knockout. Led me to believe we could see an Oleksandr Usyk knockout. But a Tyson Fury knockout, I seriously doubt it. So, Billy Joe Saunders, I'll touch on what he said later on about Chris Eubank Jr., but him beating Oleksandr Usyk 3 times in the one night and winning by knockout in the rematch, I think that Billy Joe just trying a big Tyson Fury. And he's on Talk Sport. Where else? I'm sure Simon Jordan probably was doing so. I'm sure Simon Jordan had to go and wipe himself down, not to wipe his pants down after hearing that, because that's the kind of guy Simon Jordan is when it comes to Tyson Fury. The very notion that Oleksandr Usyk beats Tyson Fury legitimately and that he's just better. Oh no, you can't be having that here. How dare you say Justin Trudeau in here? How dare you have that view? That's Simon Jordan. That's what it's like. So that was my thoughts on that. Billy Joe Saunders says if Fury uses his size, he can not only win, but stop Oleksandr Usyk. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Peace.